You know that feeling when you're deep into something, maybe an hour in, and you're just staring at a result that's not it? You've tweaked it, you've refined it, you've polished it, but it's just wrong? I had that exact moment last night, staring at a chat window after this long, super frustrating session with an AI. And that's when it all kind of clicked. 12. That was the number staring back at me. I had rephrased and clarified and refined my request 12 different times in the same thread. 12 shots at getting the right answer. And right there, clear as day, was the problem. All of my effort, every single one of those 12 refinements, was about polishing the output. I didn't once, not once, stop to fix the input, which was flawed from the very beginning. I was basically trying to perfect the answer to completely the wrong question. It just made me stop and think, why do we do that? Why do we sink so much energy into refining a path that's going nowhere instead of just starting over? And this isn't really about AI, is it? This is a deeply human thing, this illusion of progress. Okay, so let's really dive into this, because this whole behavior, it boils down to a choice we're constantly making, usually without even realizing it. It's the choice between polishing what we've got or pivoting to something entirely new. So here are the two paths, right? On one side, you have polishing a flaw. And man, does this feel productive. Every little tweak makes a visible change, and you trick yourself into thinking you're getting closer. But the outcome? It's just a fancier, more sophisticated version of wrong. Then you have the other path, pivoting to clarity. And this one's hard. It means you have to stop, admit your first try was a dead end, and do the actual tough work of thinking. The reward, though, you get a real result. And that right there, that's the core of the whole illusion. Our ego just hates admitting a mistake. Starting a new chat thread or, opening a blank page, it feels like you're going backward. It's like a public admission that the last hour of your life was a complete waste. So we stick to the comfy, familiar path of, just one more tweak. And this is how we get stuck in this totally addictive loop. You give a vague input, you get a generic output. So your first instinct is to say, refine this. The AI does what you ask. You get a slightly different, but still generic output. Make it better. And on it goes. Each spin on this hamster wheel isn't just wasting time. It's digging you deeper into the wrong approach. So this isn't just some weird quirk that happens when we talk to an AI. No way. This is a deeply human pattern, and it's backed up by decades of research. We are literally wired to fall into this trap, and there are some really powerful psychological forces making it happen. First up, you've got the classic sunk cost fallacy. It's simple. The more you pour into something, whether it's time, money, or effort, the harder it is to just walk away. My 12th prompt refinements, they weren't just requests, they were investments. And each one made it that much harder psychologically to just give up and start fresh. It's exactly like buying a non-refundable ticket to a movie you hate. You sit through the whole thing just to get your money's worth, even though you're just throwing good time after bad. And this whole thing is driven by a few key psychological triggers that researchers figured out way back in '85. It's our own crazy optimism that the next try, that's going to be the one. It's that feeling of personal responsibility, like, hey, I chose this path, I gotta see it through. And of course, it's our deep human wiring that just hates taking a loss, even when cutting our losses is clearly the smartest thing to do. And that leads right into this other thing called escalation of commitment. You can think of it as the sunk cost fallacy on steroids. We don't just keep going. We actually double down on the strategy that's failing. And why? Because stopping would make the waste of all our past effort so painfully obvious. It's nuts. To avoid looking wasteful, we end up becoming even more wasteful. But there's another little brain glitch at work here too. It's called processing fluency. Basically, our brains have this little shortcut. If something is easy to process or looks more refined, we just assume it's better or more true. So every time the AI spits out a slightly more polished answer, it feels a little smarter, a little closer, and that triggers the bias and gives us this false but very satisfying little hit of progress. In software engineering, they have a name for this exact thing: premature optimization. The legendary computer scientist Donald Knuth famously called it the root of all evil. And it's when you obsess over the tiny details of a solution before you've even confirmed you're solving the right problem. Which is exactly what I was doing, tweaking sentence structure for an answer to a question that was just fundamentally wrong. And this really gets to the heart of it. We focus on the symptom, that generic AI output, because it's visible, it's right there, and it feels so easy to treat. Just one more tweak. But we avoid the root cause, the unclear input, Because dealing with that, well, that's invisible, difficult work. It means we have to stop doing and start thinking. So here's the crucial point. The AI isn't causing this behavior, not at all. It's just acting as a perfect high-fidelity mirror. For the first time, a lot of us have a verbatim transcript of our own flawed thinking process. And it can be so uncomfortable to look at that chat log and see the exact moment we chose the easy path of refinement over the hard path of clarity. I mean, let's just look at the math here. The Polish cycle for me was 12 iterations, a few minutes each, plus all the time to read and get frustrated. We're talking a 40-minute cycle of just failure. The pivot approach maybe takes 20 minutes up front to pause, to think, to really define the problem with clarity. The result? A single successful prompt that gets you what you need on the first try. On paper, the choice is so obvious, but our brain has consistently pushed us toward that 40-minute failure. So what does this pattern actually look like? Well, it leaves a pretty clear signature in your chat history. You start seeing these really long threads, more than 10 messages. You see your prompts getting longer and more twisted with every turn. And you start seeing those vague, almost desperate commands like, make this better, or be more creative, which is really just you trying to outsource the hard work of thinking to the machine. At the end of the day, the AI is a neutral tool. All it does is reflect our own cognitive shortcuts and avoidance patterns right back at us, with perfect, unflinching clarity. That chat log, it's a receipt. It's an undeniable, itemized record of our choice to polish instead of pivot, minute by frustrating minute. And that brings us to the most uncomfortable question in all of this. If we know polishing a flaw is a waste of time, if we can literally see the receipt for our wasted effort, what is all this frantic iteration really helping us avoid? It's avoiding the sting of being wrong. It's the ego, plain and simple. Hitting that new chat button is admitting my initial idea wasn't just a little off, the entire foundation was cracked. And that is a really tough pill to swallow. It's so much easier to just pretend we're one tiny tweak away from genius. For me, this was the real insight. This was the thought that just stopped me cold. All that frantic activity, all that polishing, it was a defense mechanism. It was a way to feel busy and productive, to shield myself from the terrifying uncertainty of not having a clear answer to the most basic question. What am I actually trying to solve here? And I've got to be honest with you, just documenting this whole pattern, understanding the psychology, it hasn't magically fixed it. Even right now, that emotional pull to just make one more tweak is incredibly strong. My gut still screams at me that restarting is failure and iterating is progress, even when my brain knows logically the exact opposite is true. That illusion is powerful stuff. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you find yourself stuck in that loop on your 5th or 10th or 12th refinement, just pause, look in that AI mirror, look at the receipt, and ask yourself, what is the crucial, difficult question that all of this activity, all this so-called progress is really helping you avoid? The answer to that might be the pivot you actually need to make.